extremely frustrating that I wrote down a list of projects that I thought would be really good for 7 and 7, which, if you do not know, is a dare I have undertaken this year, in which I write 7 books in roughly 54 weeks, with a 1 week gap after the 19th, in order to learn how to format and make it an ebook. And I did this because one of my favourite podcasts, Fated Mates, has mentioned once or twice around the Kindle era this author who wrote her backlist, I think was the exact terms. And I like challenges. And also I just feel like this would be a really good year to spend setting things up. I wrote that list and then immediately decided to go for an idea that I had on the 1st, where I sat down at dinner and we were watching the repair shop and someone brought in an antique gun and I was like, guns a go-go. Not really, the working title came later, which is probably going to just be the title. So, unfortunately I will not be sitting down today to tell you about all of the lovely ideas that I had, which is a shame because I really wanted a second opinion, in the sense of are you interested in this? Because I don't really know which ones to pick, but I don't know where the list is. It's just gone. And I am quite frustrated about that. The challenge is also because I am a very slow writer in my fiction and also in my non-fiction. The blog is fine because I have strict deadlines with that, and I can move things around if my health collapses on me, which it is wont to do. But that is mainly safe. Fiction writing, on the other hand, is not. I think the lack of structure does not help me. So 7 weeks is both quite structured and also loose, in that there's definitely a deadline, but within that there is, there's space for bad days and writer's block days, and also the deadline isn't so far away that it becomes unimportant to me, or rather that my brain registers it as unimportant. I'm going to give a quick shout out, however, to some of the ones that I do remember, which is Silk. We have one writing vlog up from 2023, I think, where I started writing Silk, which is Gothic meets Xianxia, and was very inspired by Love Between Fairy and Devil, which I love. It is romantic, it is high fantasy. It goes into high fantasy. It also kind of digs into the main character, Ness, is adopted. Very romancy, very fun, but also quite, put it this way, all the non-fiction that I'm reading for research with exquisite fabrics and Chinese embroidery and Chinese religions, Taoism, Buddhism, a lot of that is needed. We also got Autumn Moon, which is coming up on a decade, I think. It was very much inspired by wuxia, but with more of a fantastical twist. I am old enough to remember when we called Xianxia fantasy wuxia in the Anglosphere. And it is this girl, literally a girl, who was cast out of her sect, and she has 3 wolves, and it is a revenge quest in that she was double crossed by the person who paid her for this job, but also on the way to get her revenge, she bumps into her teacher, her master, and her elder sister from the sect, and it is coming to peace with being abandoned. This is also probably going to be a lot of adoption feels, actually, now that I'm saying it like this. We have a love story, which, again, working title. This should be the easiest one. It is set in autumn-ish, winter-ish. It's basically this guy wakes up and he has to go to work, and he does, but the whole time it's kind of spent with like a few paragraphs mostly about what he's currently doing and why what he's doing reminds him of his relationship with his girlfriend. So like he goes to a cafe to grab a coffee before work, and he remembers that this is where I met her, and then at the end he proposes, and I thought that's a really nice, sweet, perfectly encapsulated story. I'm not great at keeping 2 outlines, and I have written like 3, and they all went in the trash. So there have been previous attempts at this, but none of them have worked out. So it's not as easy as I initially thought. They're mostly meant to be novellas or novelettes. Shorter works because 7 weeks is time to write, but it's not a lot of time to write. And then you have all the edits in the second drafts or third drafts to go. So I wanted to keep them relatively small and contained and with strong emotional relationship beats. I just remembered one actually. Speaking of shows I love Love Between Fairy and Devil. The female lead in that was in a show that came out last year, Love Game and Eastern Fantasy. Listen, the Chinese titles are so much better. I don't know why they do this. I think the original title, which was more faithfully translated, is The Guide to Capturing a Black Lotus. And I don't know why yeah. But in that, it is kind of, she is sucked into a game and she wakes up and is the kind of second female lead who is villainous and is trying to get with the main hero. And in the course of that, she ends up getting married to the heroine's brother. And they kind of torture each other, and she wants to avoid that. But also, the actor and actress had a lot of fun with this, and they released like this photo shoot of the 2 villains getting married, and it's great. Like, there's this one where they're kind of a wee bit bloodied and they have like a knife at each other's throats, and I just thought, what if that scenario, but you wake up as this villainous second lead like a year into the story and you are married to this fucker, and how would you get to a happy ending from that? The only thing with that idea is that requires quite intense world building, but also it's probably going to be longer than a novella. And I think that would be both a wee bit stressful and really tight in terms of deadline. The challenge is to do this in 7 weeks, and I want to do the challenge, so I do want to do it in 7 weeks. But even if there was a book where I'm like, I do really love this and I put the work in and it's absolutely not ready, so I want more time to do this, with that week for learning how to format and distribute an ebook, we are finishing on the 17th of December. There is not that much wiggle room. So not quite what I wanted this video to be, but like I said, we are working on Guns A Go Go, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. It's fine if you watched the 2025 channel goals, you probably know all this already, so thank you for watching. You don't need to stick around, thank you if you do. This was inspired by watching The Repair Shop, which is, it is repairing people's antiques or toys, but it's usually something that means something to people, like a late father's teddy bear, and so this is kind of playing on that. There isn't so much an emotional tie to the antiques being paraded through this place, because it services criminals. And so this guy comes in and he's like, the ancestral family, currently it is a Winchester. Yes, this very British family has a Winchester. I don't know nothing about gun restoration, but there were a few of those videos that came up on YouTube, and so we're currently working on that model. And so he goes in, he gets it repaired, he pays for some extra bullets, and then he's like, great, I'm gonna go take over the family now. This is gonna be my time. And it might be, it might not be, we will see. But yeah, very kind of funny, campy, gory film is the vibe. And I think you can tell by the working title. Like I said, that's probably just going to be the title. If you like the idea of any of these, please let me know, because I am having a hard time picking. Thank you for watching. Bye.